as soon as you don't have the information and everything.
Absolutely. I have to start from the beginning because forgive me. I barely know enough about my own cultural history and forget about the folklore of the United States. I'm trying to, being someone who loves horror, I'm trying to learn more and more about it. I come from Irish descent, so I dabble a little bit in that as well. And that's like a slippery slope because once you start looking into ghosts and goblins in Ireland, I mean, you could make a career out of it. So
100%.
I wanted to ask you both before we get into the movie, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, though. It's the Moogai, right?
Moogai.
Like
Moogai.
boogie. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah.
Forgive me, I had never heard about this horrific entity. And I just was wondering, is this part of like your childhood? Do you grow up with this as like a threat, like you better go to bed or the Moogai is gonna get you?
Yeah, totally. Like it's certainly something that people use to keep kids away from a certain place
Okay.
or a space. Like it's a boogeyman, but it's a place-based boogeyman.
Okay, so interesting that I want to get into the boogeyman aspect, but because I'm horrible at my job, let me introduce the two of you for our viewers. We we have Shari Sebbens and John Bell. John Bell being the director and writer, and Shari being the star of the Moogai. And let me tell you, this movie, I have a feeling, is really going to make a lot of noise. It is so well filmed, it's so well acted, and so well directed. I want to.
Oh, you go.
You're very welcome. I just wanted to start at the beginning, John. You're the writer of the film. Where did you get the idea, and how did it, culminate into becoming a movie?
It was kind of like there was a few elements that were moving around. One of them is sort of a language idea that there were these three kinds of words that Bunjalung people, like my mother's people, used for spirits, and that was Moogai, Wongai, and Dogai. And when white people first came to Australia, Bunjalung people and other people around the country too thought that they were returned spirits. So they used the word Dogai for white people, and we still use that word today, Dogai for white people. But Moogai is sort of still a boogeyman, and there was something about the way that those two ideas had conflated in people's heads that we transferred the meaning of one and kept the meaning of the other, but they were all spirits, and there was something really boogeyman, white man taking babies, stolen gem, all that stuff that all coalesced.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the genesis of it. But in terms of the actual design and stuff, I was trying to work off this idea of, something that exists at night, so it's quite pale. It's not sort of deeply melanin. It's not really around through the day. And then there was a whole bunch of influences. One of them was the darkness from the movie Legend. Tim Curry's character in Legend.
Sure, it's one of my favorite performances from him.
Yeah. Well, there was a sort of an element of that in the facial stuff, and then there was another element of that came from The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, where that face it sort of grows into like this caterpillar type shape. That was another element that got in there. And then the last one was I can never remember his name, but the character from Rocky Horror Picture Show who's sing, like doing the time walk.
Oh,
that.
Oh my God. Riff Raff.
Riff Raff.
Yeah.
I can never remember his name, but yeah, with the hair. There's something creepy about that lad.
I didn't know about Riff Raff, but I could totally see it.
Yeah, Riff Raff. And then the last one was probably, I don't know if you can remember Robert Helpman as the child catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
That film scared a generation of people.
Yeah. So they were all in there.
Yeah. Then, you know, there's always that one or two movies from your childhood that weren't supposed to be horror movies, but they have damaged
Bring
so
them
many
back.
people.
This generation is too soft. They didn't have to experience what we experienced with Never Ending Story and Dark Crystal and Chitty Chitty Bang the Child Stealer.
Yeah.
Scare them.
Exactly right. They are too soft. We had it tough. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Sheri, I've got to ask you a question because I'm dying to find out. This is such an emotional role, and it's also a very physical role. My first question for you, though, and I ask this of all the actors that I
Yeah.
interview, and I love the answer. Are you a fan of horror?
I think this is a great question because actually over the last couple of years I've become much more of a fan of horror.
Okay.
I think I just like movies that I like. Like I don't really seek out a certain genre at all. But there's definitely, I mean, like some of my favorite films are horror films. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer, but that I like that answer. It's so funny because typically I ask actors who are in horror movies, do you like them? And they're like, absolutely not. They're my least favorite genre. They terrify me. And then I take it one step further and I go, oh, okay, I'm so curious though. Give me like your top 5 horror films. And every time, at least 2 of them are horror movies.
Exactly. Like yeah, no, fully. I mean, I'm much more inclined to supernatural. But I do love how like I mean really how camp slasher and gore and that stuff is. Like I remember watching Evil Dead when I was a kid because my big sister was a teenager when it came out, and I was just like, it's one of the funniest movies when you're a 13-year-old in the 2000s, but she was absolutely terrified when she was a 16-year-old in the 80s or whatever. So I like the way it shifts and evolves with each generation as well, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? This generation probably has, their beloved horror films that, maybe we're not cool enough to know about. But anyway,
True. I
generation.
think they're also living a lot of the horror of this generation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, could you guys keep a door or a window open for me if I have to leg it soon? That, you know what, Shari, you bring up a great, great, great point. This movie is so steeped in history and tragic history and really abhorrent history. Of course, America, the soil on which we tread is soaked in the blood of so many different cultures. And now we're at this crossroads, not to take this conversation in another direction, but we are at a crossroads where not only are we trying to maybe bring some of that back in the United States, but actually erase it from the history books.
Yeah.
So generations to come can't learn.
Yeah.
So we're doomed to repeat it. But and I'll get down off my soapbox now. But this is another scary movie that we're living here.
Yeah, no, but I think that's the beauty of the horror genre is that it is a vehicle for huge, huge social and political conversation and themes that it's kind of reality through escapism or the allegories. Like horror's probably the best genre for it, and I get and then sci-fi being next to that. I reckon like those are the 2 genres where you can really hold the mirror up to society and go, this is what's happening, this is what has happened, let's not do it again. But
horror has the ability to introduce that to an audience that may not be knowledgeable of it, and they kind of get away with it because it's so entertaining, but you'll actually absorb it and learn something. And that's what happened to me today. John, this film starts with stark letters on the screen letting you know exactly what happened from 1910 to 1970. And I actually paused and rewound and watched it and read it over again because I was floored. And just for our viewers, that is the fact that the white people that were in power would essentially kidnap one of every 3 children, Aboriginal children, so that they could then blend them into society and honestly like color correct a country. And I don't even have words for how troublesome that is. And that is part of a history that I knew nothing about through my own ignorance, but I learned something today. So, I love this film for that alone.
That's something that I think is really interesting about sort of Australia and the US, and I also to some degree Canada and NZ, New Zealand, like all of these countries that are sort of the Anglo sphere, have some sort of variation of this same story.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. There was a situation that happened in Australia when the American soldiers were here in World War II, where there was a sort of the Australian soldiers identified with the non-white American soldiers and felt like, oh, why are you putting all these American ideas onto this situation when you're in Australia now? But that judgment would be reversed if the Australian people of that period were in America. Then the Americans would go, hey, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And there's something really interesting about that. As countries, we're able to look at the other country and go, you're doing this, without the judgment or the feeling of judging yourself. And there's an element of this that probably has the same experience in America for, Native American communities and African American.
Yeah.
And even to some extent, like you're talking about, the Irish American community. And you could probably go down the line and say certain Asian American communities would have the same, just that push to the side and the degree of how much you push to the side or push down. Yeah. But there's something that all of these countries share and can all look at without having to confront. It's like therapy without someone pointing a finger at you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. You talk about the commonality of those cultural experiences. There's a commonality to the supernatural aspect as well. I mean, we're talking about the Moogai, but we're talking about the boogeyman from England. We have in the States, we have Bloody Bones. You've got El Cuco from Spain, and you've got La Llorona from Mexico. And folklore has that thread that runs through every culture, and they all have these similarities. But it terrifies me, because I happen to think, like, if there's enough of a commonality to different places in the world, it makes it real.
It's got to be true.
Yeah.
100%. Like, if there's this many words in existence for it across this many languages, something's real.
Something's up. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I want everyone to go see this film. The cinematography is gorgeous. The acting, I already said, is top notch. John, the directing, I mean, chef's kiss. The score and the cinematography really stood out for me as well. And I'm just curious, how did you cobble together this group of incredibly talented people?
It was the same group. We really tried to keep the same group from the short. The short film won Best Midnight Shorts at South by Southwest, and then that was incredible. I thought for sure they ran, because they were trying to get in touch with me, and I thought for sure that I'd done something wrong. That's how we all take it. But, they said, "Oh, congratulations, this," and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank God. Oh, okay, I'm off the hook." But then it hits you. But and then it actually won more awards in the US than it did in Australia. It won 3 awards in the US and 2 in Australia, and we just try to keep the same team together, like to keep as much shorthand. I mean, Shari and I have known each other for over a decade, probably a decade now. We worked together a couple of times, so we've got a shorthand.
Yeah,
but
makes it easy, right?
That's right. And if we could try and recapture the magic that we had on the show and transfer that to the feature. One of the things when we first started talking about it, Shari and I, she said, "Okay, I'm going to try not to repeat anything that I did." And I was like, "No, it doesn't matter. Repeat."
It worked.
Like, we don't have to break. We're not.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. We don't have to be incredible artists. I mean, we still strive for art, but
you two are a great team. I would love to see future work with the two of you. You're really a great team.
Thank you. We would love to. I mean, I'm always like, John is a director that I have long admired, and writer for many, many reasons. So hopefully we can give you some more.
Excellent. I've got two more questions. I'm greedy. Two more, and then I promise I'll let you go. I know these are long days for you, and I really appreciate the time. First, I would love to find out how we can support this film going forward. So what's the rollout look like, and how can Macabre Daily support you? Because this really is a special film.
I don't know these things.
Like, same. I'm like, I don't know.
I've stumped you both.
Well, Australians and the Australian industry were so much, or I feel more, so much less sophisticated in these matters because their market is so small.
So true.
I'm going to let you both off the hook. I'm going to let you both off the hook. How about Macabre Daily will do the hard yards, and I'll find out how to support the film.
That'd be awesome. If you find, yeah.
Sean, we're hopeless. That's why we're we're making movies, not marketing them.
You've both done enough making this incredible film. I'm more than happy to do that work for you. I'm going to put as many eyes on this film as I can because it really is a beautiful film. It is dreadful, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Yes.
It's so intense, and it escalates as it goes along. And then there's the third act is just phenomenal, and it's filmed so well. I do want to call out Ruth, played by Tessa Rose.
Absolutely.
I mean, I actually want to call out everyone in the film. Fergus is fantastic as well. I think I saw myself in Fergus the most, which I think is good and bad.
Yeah.
The acting is unbelievable. I mean, everybody brings it. And by the time you get to the credits, you're exhausted in the best way possible because you've gone on a journey and you kind of have all the feelings from start to finish. And you get to the credits and you're just like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. I mean, I know that in a shoot, it's day by day and they're long days, but could you feel what you had? Could you feel that as the film was progressing?
I couldn't, like, I was sort of, I mean, I was like so deep in just trying to make every take work in the best way possible, so deep in the details maybe. And I kind of, in the writing process, was big picture. So I didn't know anything. I don't know.
What about you, Sheri? Did you know you were onto something great here?
I mean, I had faith in John and the story and the vision, and I think you don't ever know though. Like, it's everything. Like, you hope for it, and you want the most you hope for, I guess, is for people to receive it in the way that you want them to. That you envision them receiving it. So everything and where it's gone and where it's taken us has just been amazing. It's quite special.
One of the first things I do when asked to review a film, of course, I start doing some research on it, and I look to see what the response has been. I don't let that influence me. Everybody's got their own opinions, but I start to look around. The response to this film has been phenomenal. So congratulations, and I'm thrilled for you both. I'm thrilled for everybody that was involved in the film. I will wrap up with this question. Now, this isn't like the other question. This isn't a hard one, I hope. Because Macabre Daily is US based, but we really do support international cinema, especially international horror. Could you both recommend one or more horror films that are Australian that really stand out for you that the viewers might not know about?
Ooh. That's okay. Australian.
Not letting you guys off the hook on this one.
I think like if you were just gonna go old school, like you'd go something like Wake and Fright, right? Like truly terrifying.
Great recommendation. And you know what? Kind of a hidden gem for a complete younger generation of film.
Yeah. True.
John, how about yourself? You got one for me?
I mean, I'd probably say, I know you'd be aware of Moogai. Like, I know you know you probably, so I won't, that's too obvious for you. Like, I'm going to go with Razorback, which I guess,
that movie.
It's not totally a horror, but it's kind of horrific. It's a terror. You know, it's a thriller.
Makes you want a Muck Creature feature. I'll give it to you. That's a fantastic recommendation.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to wrap up, but Shari, I have to say one thing to you. I love you, Sapphires.
Oh, thank you.
I had a special moment when you popped up in Thor, Love and Thunder. I was like, Sapphires! I know like I know you.
That's amazing. That's so funny.
I'm nudging my friends. I'm like, she's great.
Thanks, Sean. We do know each other now. There we go.
Can't thank you both enough for the time tonight. Again, sending all the good vibes your way. I will make sure I get as many eyes on this film as possible.
Thank you so much.
All the best in the future. I want to see more work from the both of you, please.
Yes. Thanks, Sean.
Have a great night. Take care, everyone.
Bye.